Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Anderson, and I'm here to talk with you for the next 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so. If you've got any questions about what I'm going to talk about, please do pop them in the questions and they'll be given to me at the end. So hopefully I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for some questions, even though I can talk until the cows come home. So hopefully I will leave some space at the end to answer some questions. Now, my talk today is on the magic of cats, and I want to start with a couple of little caveats, if that's all right. The first caveat is that I live in a mad and crazy place. I live opposite Shakespeare's birthplace in the middle of Stratford-upon-Avon. And while it can be very quiet one minute, suddenly a group of Morris dancers can turn up, or an Umpar band, or a very large group of tourists, and everything goes crazy. So the first thing I want to do is apologise in case all hell breaks loose around me at any point during the next 45 minutes. I've also, normally when I do these things, I close my door. But I have an open invitation out to both of my cats that they can come in here today and join in this chat if they wish to. Um, because I've told them they can, neither of them probably will. But just, the door is open just in case they do want to come in. So that's my first caveat. My second one is that my talk is going to be slightly different to the other talks that you've seen on MoonCon this weekend. I'm not necessarily going to be giving you lots and lots of information about cats. I'm going to be talking to you about the process of how I wrote my forthcoming book, The Magic of Cats, and the concept behind it, if you like, the concept that links it all together. And that is a concept of the cat of the night and the cat of the day. So it's a bit creative, and it's a bit kind of personal experience. So you're not going to get tons of information about cats. You will get some, but if I was to give you lots of information about cats, you'd have no reason to buy the book. So it's mostly going to be about this concept of the cat of the night and the cat of the day. So I hope that's okay. So I'll tell you a little tiny bit about myself before I get going. I'm a druid. I've been a druid from about 2013. I'm an OBOD druid, so I'm part of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And this year I've just finished the course. I'm a fully certified druid now, so I can do all of the stuff. I can do lightsabers and everything. So yeah, I'm a proper druid now. But of course, we keep on learning. Which is very important. And I've got 3 books with Moon Books so far. So my first one is The Ritual of Writing. That was my first book. I used to be a creative writing teacher. I'm not anymore. I'm an environmental officer now, so it's very different. But this is about how to use writing in your seasonal practice. And it's about seasonal stories and tales and how you can make them your own and how you can work with the wheel of the year. So it's very practical, lots of things that you can do. So lots of tasks involved like that. So that you lots of stuff for you to do as a writer. Now, my second book was what I talked about last year, and it's about Artio and Artemis. And this is my journey, spiritual and physical journey, when I went to find out about the Celtic bear gods, Artio and Artemis, about whom we know very little. So this is my journey in terms of finding them. Very proud of this one. It means I went to Switzerland and missing it desperately at the moment. And I also just want to put in a little word for this book as well, which was edited by Trevor, our editor. It's called Naming the God, and I'm very lucky to have a couple of articles in here. One about trickster gods, and I've also got some entries on Thor and Artowis in here as well. So it's well worth reading. Now, my forthcoming book, very exciting. It's not coming until April next year, but it arrived. My proof copy of it arrived yesterday, so it's brand new, and I'm very excited. Is The Magic of Cats. Now, if you can't quite see that, don't worry. I'm going to be showing you a picture of it later on, but it's here. Look, it's real, which means it's happening, and I'm very excited. And this is mostly what I'm going to be talking about today. As you can see, the cover. You can only just see the cover. It's very glorious. It's by an artist called Hannah Willow, who I'm sure many of you will know. So, how did I come to write a book about cats? Well, after my book on Artio and Artemis, as all authors do, I kind of sat down and thought, right, what am I going to write about next? And a friend of mine called Sue, knowing that I have 2 cats who I just adore, Sue said to me, well, why don't you write a book about cats? Okay, good, fair enough. So I began planning a few bits, and then I looked at Moonbook's back catalogue and found that they already had a book on cats called Gremorkin, the Witch's Cat, in 2013 by Martha Gray. And I thought, well, they're not going to want a second book on cats, are they? So I just put all of that to one side. and kind of started developing some other ideas. And then Trevor, our wonderful editor, Trevor, put a note, put a post onto the Moon Books authors Facebook page. Yes, we have one. It's very exciting. It's where it all goes down. He put a note up saying, we want to develop a whole new range of books called The Magic of, about lots and lots of different animals. What animal would you like to write about? Go. And literally, it was like a pile-on. Literally, every single one of the Moon Books authors was on there going, I want to write about moths. I want to write about birds. And it was just this massive pile of comments. And of course, I saw it, and it was like it was like one of Pavlov's dogs. I was like, cats, must write about cats. So I typed in magic of cats, please, Trevor. And then I put underneath a picture of my cat Marlowe looking adorable and a picture of my cat Alfie looking adorable with the phrase, Trevor, if you don't give me this book, these two are going to be very angry with you. Now, I can't say what made Trevor give me that book, but I think it was the pictures of Marlowe and Alfie, frankly, because they are frankly adorable, as you will see soon, hopefully, if I can get the technology working. So I was given by Trevor this book, this wonderful book, The Magic of Cats, to write. And my celebrations at getting this book lasted all of 5 minutes until I realized there's a lot of books out there on cats, and I've got to find something to make this book unique. I've got to find something that's going to make this book stand out from the crowd. How am I going to do this with this topic? What am I going to be able to do? So it took me quite a while to mull that through and work out what I was going to do. And what I actually did was I went back in time to about 10 years ago, when I had a conversation with my housemate Becky, and she said to me, we don't mythologize our cats nearly enough. And I was like, well, we've got them on a cushion. Look, there they are, they're on a cushion. What else do you want? Not every cat is on a cushion. Is this not enough? And she said, no, it's not. We need to mythologize our cats even more. We need to do something that is going to make them famous around the world. Okay, fine. So I went away and was in bed that night, and I was talking to Alfie, my ginger Tom, who was on the bed, and I was like, okay, Alfie, how do I mythologize you then? And he didn't really answer. Um, and so I kind of carried on looking at him and talking, and it led me to this conversation of, what myths do you have as a cat? As a cat, do you have a myth? Do you have, for example, a creation myth? And so I went off down that route kind of creatively, and I wrote a poem, and it came to me over a very, very long period of time. But I wrote it in one go. I literally sat down on one day, and this thing just kind of poured out of me after months and months of planning. And it's called The Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day, a story for kittens of all ages. And it's meant to be a tale that mother cats tell their kittens about how the world came to be, and why there is night and why there is day. So having wrote this all in one go, I kind of became very brave one day, and I went and read it out at a poetry festival, and people really liked it. And so I read it out at a couple of Druid gorseds and some nice deadfods, and people genuinely loved this poem. They were like, oh, this is great. So I really wanted to do something with that poem, and I always had visions of it being illustrated as like a giant kids book, because it kind of has that feeling of the night before Christmas. That's kind of what I was aiming for. So I'd always seen this as this big illustrated book with this poem in it. And that's never really happened. It never came off. I have talked to a couple of artists about it, but it's never really came together. So when I came to the Magic of Cats, this poem came back to me, and I was like, why don't I use the Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day as my frame? So I thought what I'd do to kind of start off this little presentation is I would read you the poem that this whole book is based around. So it's going to take about 5 minutes because it's quite long, but hopefully you will enjoy. So please settle back and listen to The Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day, a story for kittens of all ages. Long, long ago, before there was time, before there was music or stories or rhyme, the moon loved the sun so much she gave birth to a small little planet that we call the Earth. The moon loved the earth with its rivers and seas. The sun loved the earth with its mountains and trees. Each wanted to give their new child a toy to show the earth how she had filled them with joy. Moon spoke to the stars for help with the task. What gift can I give? She started to ask, when out of her skirts, giving her such a fright, rolled a little black cat called the Cat of the Night. The Cat of the Night was a black, black cat, a cat so black he was blacker than black, so black that underneath his coat was every other colour dancing. And Moon so loved the Cat of the Night, she bathed his heart in purest light. The stars grew close to see him blessed with a white, white moon on his black, black chest. The little black cat twitched his little black nose as stars lay a kiss on his little black toes. He skipped as they tickled, he jumped left and right, while each of his paws turned a bright, brilliant white. So the Cat of the Night, with the black, black nose, with the moon on his chest and the stars on his toes, was a gift to the earth as a sign of great love from her silvery mother in the dark skies above. Sun ran to his clouds, the friends. Sorry, I'll read that again. Sun ran to his friends, the clouds, in such fright. "Oh, clouds, have you seen the Cat of the Night? I need a good gift," he started to say, when out of his crown rolled the Cat of the Day. The Cat of the Day was a white, white cat, a cat so white he was whiter than white, so white that underneath his coat was every other colour dancing. And Sun so loved the Cat of the Day, he chased his friends, the clouds, away, then filled the cat's belly with a deep golden heat, which coloured his tail, his body, and feet. The clouds gathered round where the golden cat laid, and crisscrossed his back with a deep cooling shade. He lolled and he wriggled, he stretched and he rolled, as his coat became striped with a deepening gold. So the Cat of the Day, with the pink, pink nose, with the dark stripy back and the bright golden toes, was a gift to the earth as a sign of great love from her fiery father in the bright skies above. The earth loved the moon, and the earth loved the sun, and earth loved the cats and would cuddle each one. When the cats saw each other, they started to play and started a race that goes on to this day. They race and they chase and they chase and they run, because running and racing and chasing is fun. They chase from the east and they race to the west, because running and racing and chasing is best. Each morning at sunrise, the Cat of the Day rolls over the hill, chasing nighttime away. At sunset, the other one rolls into sight, and darkness belongs to the Cat of the Night. In summer, the daytimes are longer and bright when the Cat of the Day beats the Cat of the Night. In winter, the Cat of the Night wins the sport, so night times are long and daytimes are short. They chase from the east and they race to the west, because running and racing and chasing is best. They race and they chase and they chase and they run, because running and racing and chasing is fun. Moon follows the night, sun follows the day as they run and they race and they chase and they play. Each follows the cat they created from love, looking down from the games on the sky, from the skies up above. Earth still loves the moon, earth still loves the sun, earth still loves the cats and embraces each one. And the chase still goes on, because that's how they play, the Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day. So there we go. That's the poem I wrote about 10 years ago, that I picked up again when I was putting the Magic of Cats together, and decided to use as my frame for the book that I was about to write. And so the first half of the book, The Magic of Cats, is about the Cat of the Night, and the second half of the book is about the Cat of the Day. And so the next question is, well, who are the Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day? And this is where it could all go wrong, because we're doing tech now. So let's hope that this works. I'm going to try to share my screen. And so hopefully you will see this. I've got a little PowerPoint to put together. There we go. And I've said to Rachel, if everybody can't see this, please do just message me on Facebook, and I will kind of do something with it. But here we go. This is the Cat of the Night. This is my little boy, Marlowe. Marlowe, I call him my little boy. Marlowe's actually 16 this year, so he's chugging on a bit, bless him. But these pictures are very indicative of who Marlowe is. I just want to tell you a little bit about him and why he is the Cat of the Night, the representation of the nighttime. Marlowe, like I say, we got 16 years ago, and we got him on the autumn equinox, which I always think is a bit spooky because he's the perfect balance of light and dark. Um, but we got him from a friend who lived a drive away, Marlowe actually belonged to a neighbour around the corner. So we went to this friend's house, and she was showing us around the garden, and then we were going to go and pick Marlowe up later. Um, and we were standing in the garden just having a chat, and suddenly Marlowe, who was like a little tiny thing, Marlowe just strolled into the garden with his mother and sister. And we were like, hang on, what are these cats doing out? They shouldn't really even be out. But they were, and they came up to us. They literally walked up to us in this garden. So I picked Marlowe up, and he jumped away from me. Didn't really want to be picked up. He was too busy doing other things. Um, and his mum kind of rubbed round us a little bit and said hello. Had a boop on the nose and all of that sort of stuff. And then I eventually picked Marlowe up again and took him indoors, and we felt guilty for a very long time about like literally picking up and carrying him away from his mum. No, his mum and his sister kind of got off and did their own thing. And Marlowe just looked through me. At that point, it was like I just wasn't even there. I mean, very much, like that photo in the middle. It was like I just wasn't there. I didn't exist for this cat. He was looking at something far more important than kind of looking at me. And it took us a few years. I mean, we felt guilty for a long time about separating Marlowe from his mother like that. And when I actually came to write this book and thought about the cat of the night being kind of the knowing cat, the cat who can see the future and kind of sees through us. Um, it's actually kind of brought a bit of peace to me because I think Marlowe's mum actually brought him to us and said, "There you go." She came and checked us out. She rubbed around us. She was obviously quite happy, and she left her little boy with us, which I do find rather lovely. But as you can see, I mean, just look at that boy. Look at that face in the middle. Marlowe is demanding. Marlowe is a very demanding cat. He rules the roost. He is the alpha cat. He is very much in charge, and he's super intelligent. Very bad moods, but super intelligent, very inquisitive. I went to an animal communicator, a wonderful animal communicator called P. Horsley, who kind of I did some training with, but she was getting very strong messages from Marlowe. Marlowe being a very chatty cat, kind of quite a developed vocabulary, she said, and it's he's very kind of super intelligent. He sits and works things out. Quite often, we'll get other people to do things for him, but he sits and works them out. Now he was the cat of the night because, as you can see, he's a little black cat, and he's got that white chest and little white feet. But there's a number of other traits about Marlowe that make him the cat of the night, which I'll kind of talk to you about as we go through. So my first cat, Marlowe, cat of the night. Here's my other cat. Oh, doesn't your heart melt? Look at him. This is Alfie. Alfie is a couple of years older than Marlowe. We think he's about 18 or 19. And he was a rescue cat. My sister actually brought him to us. He was being thrown out of a window on the third floor of a house. Not maliciously, but a small child just thought it was fun to do that. So poor little Alf was going to have to be rehoused. So we had him with us. Now he's a totally different type of cat to Marlowe. Alfie's very chilled and laid back, as you can see there, whereas Marlowe's kind of this hyper intelligent cat. Alf's kind of much more emotionally intelligent, I would say, even though he's very nervous. But you would be, wouldn't you, if somebody was throwing you out of a window, you would be a little bit nervous about things. But Alf is a peacemaker, which is good because he lives with Marlowe, and Marlowe's very demanding. Alfie is not that demanding. He will moan a bit and he's very vocal, but he's just quite happy getting on, making peace, making sure there's not too much of a fight. I remember when we first opened the door between them, and Alfie just kind of, he did his blinking, he kind of, kind of did the peace signs that cats do. And the two of them were like best mates straight away. It's not always been that peaceful as they've grown older, but he is essentially a peacemaker, is my big ginge here. He's also a talker. When I went to the animal communication training, interestingly, he didn't communicate too much. He was very kind of monosyllabic. Yeah, it's fine. Very dude-ish. Very laid back dude. But actually, he is the one who talks in real life. So as he comes into a room, he makes a little noise so that you know that he's there. If you touch him, you get a little noise. He makes a little noise just to say hello. And he's actually got names for us. So if he wants Marlowe, he stands and he calls Marlowe, and there is a particular noise which sounds like Marlowe that Alfie makes. and he's got names for me and names for Bex as well. So it's again a very clever cat, but far more kind of emotionally intelligent than Marlowe. I think Marlowe's kind of the brain and Alfie's kind of the heart, if you like. And he's the cat of the day, as you can see, because he's just a little golden ray of sunshine. He's just beautiful, but also he likes laying in the sun. So if it's like 30 degrees outside, you can find Alfie because Alfie's the one who's laying in it. He's topping up his ginge as he does it, getting a little ginger suntan. So that's the cat of the night, the cat of the day, Marlowe and Alfie. And I've been working with this concept for a number of years. And as I said, I wanted artists to draw and take these ideas forward. Well, I couldn't get the book first time round, but what I did first time round was I had tattoos. So people who meet me always comment on my tattoos. On my left arm, I have the symbol of the cat of the night, because that's the side that Marlowe likes to sit. And you can see there in my tattoo, there's the moon and the stars in there. And interestingly, that's on the left arm, which is kind of the intuitive side. And on the sunshine paw on the right hand side, there's the sunshine and the clouds of the cat of the day. Interestingly, again, because that's the right side, that's the apparent side of the world, the physical side of the world, even though that's just the side that Alfie likes sitting on. These tattoos were done by a wonderful tattooist called Ang Harrod in the Jewelry Quarter. I've checked her Instagram. She's not going anymore. I don't think she's tattooing anymore. But yeah, these two are very, very striking, and I've been very, very proud of them for a number of years. So taking it back into the book, this idea of having an artist work with this concept of the cat of the night and the cat of the day was very important to me before I even really started writing the book. I was pulling ideas together, but before I could start writing it, I was in communication with a very, very wonderful artist called Hannah Willow, who I'm sure many of you know. And we were actually talking about the Artio and Artist book because I interview Hannah in that. But Hannah said, I'd really like to do a front cover for your next book, if that's all right. And I went, I'm doing this book called The Magic of Cats. It would be wonderful if you could illustrate this idea of the cat of the night and the cat of the day for me. And Hannah came up with this. And I'm just going to leave it on screen so you can just see how beautiful it is, frankly. It's just glorious. She's absolutely captured Marlowe and Alfie in there, but she's also elevated them up into this cat of the night and the cat of the day that the poem talks about. I'm just in awe of it. I just love it so much. And of course, being the way that Hannah's drawn it means that we can also do this, and we can flip it round, and the cat of the night can go on the top and the cat of the day can, it's just, I love it. And not only is this going to be the front cover of the forthcoming Magic of Cats, Hannah's also doing she's doing an oracle set at the moment, and she asked permission whether we could use this for her oracle deck. And so Marlowe and Alfie are going to be the card of balance, which I think is rather wonderful. This idea of the light and the dark, the balance of the night and the day, will be appearing in Hannah's oracle deck as well, which I just love. Now, I kind of took the mickey out of Hannah a little bit, I have to admit, because Hannah said, well, I'll do your front cover. And then I went, could you do some illustrations as well? And so there we go, there's the cover. And you can see there Hannah's name's on the front. So we were talking about this lovely cover. And so Hannah was like, I was like, can you do some illustrations, Hannah? She went, yeah, of course, I'd love to. And we asked for 6 originally to go in the book. And what Hannah's provided us with is 9. And they are stunning. They are absolutely stunning. Now, I'm not going to show you all 9 because I'm going to save some of those because they're just beautiful and just glorious. But there are some that Hannah shared on Instagram, so I kind of feel I can show you. So for the inside of the book, this is the cat of the night. Again, just absolutely beautiful there with the moon and the stars, the rolling beautiful landscape underneath. And of course, where you have the cat of the night, you also have the cat of the day. And I love that, love that picture of the cat of the day. Reminds me very much of the time, one of my favorite times of year, which is Lunasa, which we're heading towards now, to the harvest. And of course, if you've got the cat of the night and the cat of the day, they go together. And Hannah actually based this on a lovely picture of Marlowe and Alfie sitting at a window in my house hunting a bird, which they didn't get because obviously they were behind a window. But she's actually managed to capture them somehow. I just don't know how she's done it. through their shape, through their, I don't know, but it's just wonderful. She's managed to capture my boys there in this beautiful illustration, which you will find inside The Magic of Cats. So I'm going to stop sharing there if I can. There we go. Let me just do that. And hopefully you are back to me. Yes, there we go. Right. So that's the background, if you like. That's the setting of the scene. You now know who the Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day are. They are Marlowe and Alfie. They are these two archetypes, literally, of daytime and nighttime, and they have been developed by Hannah up into these kind of pictures that you will find on the front of the book and on the inside as well. But when I came to write the book, of course, I couldn't just leave them as these representations of daytime and nighttime. The Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day had to be expanded into kind of more rounded views of cats. And so I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about that and about what the Cat of the Night and the Cat of the Day are, because it actually moved well beyond them just being daytime and nighttime. And it kind of led me to quite an interesting, well, I thought it was interesting, I hope you will as well, quite an interesting revelation about the nature of cats and what's going on with them, which I'll kind of be telling you a little bit about now. So the Cat of the Night. Who is the Cat of the Night? What is the Cat of the Night? Well, the Cat of the Night is the one that you think of when you think about paganism and you think about cats. It's the witch's cat, the black cat who's kind of sitting next to the cauldron, that mysterious feline who kind of, as I said about Marlowe, kind of looked through me, kind of, yeah, went, yeah, okay, I know who you are, I'm just looking straight past you. That idea of his mother kind of going, I'm going to deliver you to this point, who knew what was coming up. So this idea of the cat who can kind of see through us and can see through time as well, that they have this gift of premonition. And the Cat of the Night is also kind of the one that we find in our myths and legends. They are the kind of the archetypal root of cat that we find in legends from all the way around the world. And while I was writing the book, I found this wonderful author called Fred Gettings, who wrote a fabulous book about cats and kind of summed up the Cat of the Night for me. So I'm just going to read from the Magic of Cats, what he says, because I think this kind of puts our finger on what most of us think of when we think of the Cat of the Night. He says, the cat thrives in the darkness, for it is an occult creature, happier in the reflected light of the moon than the bright glare of the sun's rays. The sun in the sky is too steady for the everlasting cat, for her strange eyes are designed to fluctuate from full to crescent, in imitation of that lesser luminary, the moon. The cat is a symbol of the night and of lunar darkness and of the moon's phases. And so that kind of mystical, shadowy, magical cat is the Cat of the Night. And that link there that Gettings makes, which a lot of us make with the moon, the cat and the moon somehow being related, best explored in Yeats's poem, Yeats's wonderful poem, The Cat and the Moon. The cat went here and there, and the moon spun round like a top, and the closest kin of the moon, the creeping cat looked up. That phrase, the closest kin of the moon, that the cat and the moon are somehow related to each other, kind of spiritually. And in Yeats's wonderful poem, the moon doesn't only affect the cat affects the moon as well. There's this line where Yeats goes that maybe the moon will learn some more dances from the cat. So there's this kind of symbiotic relationship between the cat and the moon. And along with that, which I think is very, very interesting, is this sense that the cat is somehow an exemplary form of the feminine. We see it in pronoun use. So in Gettings's quote, he calls the cat she. And this happens a lot. We find that connection between cats and the feminine. Cats are very often closely associated with a whole range of goddesses. Um, but just in our pronoun use around cats, it's very interesting. So if you go to buy dog food, there's dog food called good boy. Whereas actually, if you go to find cat food is called good girl. You know, it's that kind of thing. So I don't dwell too much on that. I do through the goddesses, but I don't dwell too much beyond that. But there is this sense that that cats are somehow female and feminine, which is all very well and good unless you live with two male cats who are really, really not feminine at all. But you know, it's that's kind of the archetype of the cat of the night, really. So I ended up, when I wrote this book, in this book you'll find under the cat of the night that it divides into three areas. The first is the universal cat. That is the cat of myth and legend, the cat who is there at the beginning of time in the creation stories, who works with the gods and the goddesses. The second archetype of the cat of the night is the witch's cat, the one who sits around the cauldron. And there's a big chapter in there about how cats became associated with witches, both kind of in actual witch trials, but also in terms of our literature and our culture. And the final aspect of the cat of the night is the knowing cat. Now, that's the cat who does have this sense of premonition. So there's stories in there about cats who predicted when bombs were going to fall on churches and that kind of thing. And the idea of Marlowe's mother bringing bringing her son to me so I could take him away. All of that. So we've got the universal, the witches, and the knowing cat. Okay, so that's the archetypal cat of the night. So who's the cat of the day then? If that's the archetype that most of us are used to working with in terms of cats, the cat of the night, who is the cat of the day? Well, one of the reasons I wanted to write this book goes back to that quote I read out from Gettings when he says, "This is what the cat is like." And I look at Marlowe and Alfie, and quite often I go, that's not what Marlowe and Alfie are like at all. Particularly Alfie. Alfie's not that kind of cat. He's a very, very different kind of cat. A cat who is much more rooted in this world. So if I drift off somewhere, so say for example, if I'm doing a ritual as part of my practice, or if I'm on my mobile phone for too long, Alfie will come and disrupt me. He hates it. If I'm on my phone, Alfie hates it. He won't sit on my lap while I play on my phone. He gets me to put the phone down so I can focus on him. And like I say, he has been known to walk into the middle of a ritual circle, just drop on his side, roll on his back, and want a tummy rub. He's very much about being here, not being off in the other world. And like I said, you know, Getting says that the light of the sun is too direct for cats. Not for Alfie. Alfie lays out in it. Alfie lays out in the direct sunlight. So it began making me wonder whether there was a different kind of cat. That if we're looking at this archetype of the cat of the night, the witch's cat, is there a whole other archetype? Is there a whole new cat that we just aren't seeing? And that's what I propose in this book, is that there is a second cat, the cat of the night and the cat of the day. Now, the cat of the day doesn't get rid of the cat of the night. All of those things, that witchy cat, that knowing cat, that's all there. But we need to start looking at this other cat, because this other cat is new, or is coming through to us, is beginning to kind of gain prevalence. So it's a cat that's very much grounded in this world, not in the other world. And so, as with the cat of the night, we had the three. We had the universal, the witch's cat, and the knowing cat. With the cat of the day, it's broken up into three other kind of elements, which I go on to explore. So I'll just tell you a little bit about them. So, in terms of the cat of the day, the first chapter is about the idiomatic cat. Now, this is not the cat of myth and legend. This is the cat of story, of later story, and the language that we use to each other. So in our phrases such as "cat's got your tongue," that kind of thing. And that cat is not one that's concerned about mysticism or anything to do with the other world, but it's a cat of this world. So, for example, Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots is not about anything in the other world. Puss in Boots is about getting material wealth in this world and how we do it and how we get status and power. And there are other examples as well, such as Dick Whittington's cat. So the idiomatic cat is the first stage of the cat of the day, and it's the stories we tell and the language that we use around cats, which has got more positive the later we've gone. So the phrases about cats that come in from about the 20th century onwards are far more positive about cats than the earlier ones, when the cats were thought of as witches' cats. Okay, so the idiomatic cat. Then the second form of the cat of the day is the physical cat. If what you're looking at is the cat who's in the other world, then what you're missing is a marvelous creature who is sitting in front of you, a absolute miracle of magical biological evolution. Cats are just amazing beings. Whether their sixth sense is actually something biological or not, just looking at things like their writing reflex and how their whiskers work, and how attuned their ears and their noses are. These things are absolute biological pieces of magic. So the cat of the day, the physical cat, is the second chapter in that section, and then the third chapter of the cat of the day is the evolving cat. Now, cats have evolved a very, very long way in their relationship with humans. And they continue to do so. And actually, that evolution seems to be speeding up. They're doing things at the minute that they shouldn't really be doing. I mean, some of them even have social media accounts. But cats are evolving at a very, very quick rate at the moment. And that evolution is doing something very special to them. And that's what the final chapter is about, which I'm not going to spoil, and I'm not going to talk about very much more, because that's kind of the key to this whole book, The Magic of Cats. So, in terms of the cat of the day, very different to the cat of the night, the cat of this world, the cat that we see on our beds in the morning, the cats that come in and demand food, that very magical, very present world being. That's the cat of the day, the idiomatic, the physical, and the evolving cat. So there we go. That is my introduction to my book, The Magic of Cats, which is coming out on the 28th of April next year. Okay, so 2023. You've got a bit of a time to wait for it, I'm afraid. I would love for you to have it now, but we have timescales on these things. So that's me done in terms of my actual talk. But I'm really, really happy to answer some questions. If anybody's got any questions about cats and how magic they are, I'll very happily answer them. Right. Why do they say that cats have 9 lives? Right. Okay. There is a reason for this. He says, desperately trying to remember it. There's several reasons. There's several reasons why cats have 9 lives. But the biggest one, the one that I really, really remember, is because it's the Trinity. It's from the 3 times 3. So 3 threes are 9. And so it's deemed to be particularly lucky. There's also something to do with, no, that's something different. Sorry, got confused. But yes, most of it is that there is a pantheon. I'm sure there's a pantheon which is meant to be 9 as well. Yeah, but mostly it's because it's 3 times 3. The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. 3 times 3 gives you the perfect number of 9, and so therefore cats have 9 lives because they're particularly magical. Here we go. So that's why cats have 9 lives. Right, here we go. So this is from Sam. I have a black cat called Kismet. Wonderful name. He was a rescue with severe eye infections, which led to them both having to be removed. Oh no. Whilst he's blind, he sees so much. It's creepy. Yes. Now photos of black cats with eyes that wrong. That they do, don't they, Sam? I mean, once you've got your own once you've got your own love, your own cat, they become very special, and you can't see cats in any other way, really. But you're right, cats have so many other senses. I mean, their sight is absolutely phenomenal. The perception that they have in their eyes is phenomenal. But they have all of these other senses as well. They've got their ears, which their hearing is so much more advanced than human. But of course, what they can also do is they can move their ears round separately and independently. I mean, who doesn't love it as a cat owner when you're kind of sitting there and you're talking to your cat and they go, yeah, not listening. They turn their ears away from you because, yeah, I'm done with you now. So their hearing is super sensitive, but they can turn it round. They also have their sense of smell, which is very, very attuned. They have this thing as well, which I didn't know about until I wrote this book, which is called the Flehmen response, which is kind of when they look like they're going at you, like they're kind of sucking in like that, and they're actually pulling air into another olfactory organ that they have in the back of their nose. It's kind of behind their nose and above their soft palate. So their nose is kind of super sensitive as it is, but then they have this Flehmen response, which they kind of draw the air over. So that as well for Kismet will be getting all sorts of extra sensory stuff from there. and the whiskers as well. We think of the whiskers as just being here, but they've got whiskers coming out above their eyes. They have whiskers on the back of their legs. So they're very, very attuned to air movements as well. Kismet, when walking around, blind cats will be able to sense when walking into things just by getting used to what their whiskers are doing, because the air currents will change around different bits of furniture. So the fact that poor Kismet's lost their eyes, very, very sad. But actually, Kismet will have lots and lots of other senses that will make up for that, and will still be able to live a very full and healthy life from at least those three other senses, as well as other senses that we just don't know they've got at the moment, frankly. So yeah, that's lovely. Thank you very much, Sam, for sharing your story about Kismet. Are there any British gods or goddesses associated with cats? Hello, Hazel. Um, Not that I found, no, because cats came to Britain quite late, um, really quite late, um, much later than we see them even on the near continent. The closest one that I can think of, off the top of my head, and it isn't British at all, but is Freya, is the Viking goddess Freya, who has a chariot drawn by two cats. Now, that obviously shows you how wonderful and skilled Freya is, because trying to get two cats to go in the same direction and pull something in the same direction, Freya was obviously very, very skilled. I take Marlowe and Alfie out on Leeds because of the stupid place that we live, which is what I've said. So on some days we go out on Leeds and they're kind of like all over the place. So the fact that Freya gets them to pull their chariot is a very, very it's a sign of great skill. But no British gods or goddesses that are associated with cats. But that's like the mostly Egyptian, lots of Egyptians, but a couple of other kind of European ones, really. So there we go. Wow, lots of questions. Thank you so much, everyone. This is absolutely great. So this is Isabel, says they definitely see into the other world. I once had a cat wake up and start hissing and growling at something that I couldn't see passing through my room. Scary. Yes, Isabel, that does sound very, very scary indeed. Because we look to our cats, don't we? We look to our cats and our pets for kind of meaning and for kind of comfort, I suppose. So the fact that your cat started behaving like that it would be a very, very scary thing to kind of encounter. I I do agree with you, Isabel. I think that they do. The cats have another sense that we don't quite know about. That's what I would say. It's unproven. And I've in the book I give a couple of examples of where cats apparently see ghosts, um, and where they react to ghosts. I've got a couple of stories in there about that, but also the other thing as well, where they can see things coming, where they know that something's going to happen. Obviously, with things like earthquakes, that's one thing, because you could say maybe those whiskers or those other super senses are picking it up. But that I've got stories of cats during World War II that were seeming to be able to predict bombing as well. Um, which is odd. That's the best way we can put it. But yes, Isabella, I agree with you. I think they can see other things. Not quite sure what it is, but I think they definitely can see and respond to things that we maybe aren't quite so attuned to. So yes, I would definitely agree with you on that. Oh, Hazel, again, lovely. Thank you. My cat Boo likes to walk up to people, then to either walk off before they can touch him, or stops and lets them pet him. I wonder what he said. Yes, this is interesting. Now, I do know Hazel. I met Hazel when I was writing my last book on Artu and Artuis, and I have to admit I've seen Boo, and Boo is adorable. Boo is absolutely gorgeous. But yes, so Boo walks up to people and then decides, I like you. I'm not quite so sure about you. Yes, I think you're right there. And this is what I was saying about how I think sometimes Marlowe looks right through me. Not not that I'm unimportant, but he sees me. And I do on we must all have had it. I'm sure all cat owners have had it when you've been thinking something and your cat seems to respond to you. like a form of telepathy or telepathic communication between yourself and the cat. And of course, this is how animal communication works, isn't it? When I did my work with P. Horsley, I say I did work with her. I basically spent a weekend doing it, so it wasn't extensive work. But that's telepathic, and I'm not brilliant at it, but cats can definitely pick up on what you're thinking. Um, and I wonder what Boo is picking up about these people that he doesn't like, that makes Boo think, no, I'm going to walk away. Very, very interesting there. Thank you, Hazel. Are Scottish wildcats not native, Isabel? I think they are. I think Scottish wildcats are native. That's my understanding. I don't go too far into wildcats in the Magic of Cats. Um, as I mentioned, Moonbook's other cat book, the one about Grey Malkin, the witch's cat, that has more information in it on wild forms of cats and things like lions and tigers. I didn't really want to go there. I wanted to make this more about domestic cats. But my belief is that Scottish wildcats are native, and that part of the trouble with the Scottish wildcat population is that they're interbreeding with kind of feral cats, and so it's now actually very difficult to have a pure wildcat because of this mix with feral domestic cats, I believe. Yeah, my belief is that they are one of our few native predators. Yeah. Hello, Catherine. I have two cats. They talk to me all the time. Yes, they do, don't they, Catherine? Absolutely. And that's another one of these myths that I try to bust in this book, because the cat of the night, the stereotypical archetypal cat, everyone goes, oh, cats are very aloof. They will talk to you when they want to. And yes, that's true. But once you've built a relationship with a cat, they're not aloof at all. They're very chatty. They're very companionable. They will come and sit on you. And, Marlowe and Alfie are a bit like dogs. Maybe I shouldn't say that, frankly. But that my boys are lovely. They are not this aloof, remote stereotype at all. Like yours, Catherine, they don't sound like that at all. They'll come and they'll have a little chat. They just need a little bit of space. They're not aloof. They are genuinely loving creatures who communicate with us. And that's one of the myths that I wanted to bust, particularly this new cat that I see coming in, this cat who is evolving and changing. The new cat of the day, if you like, is very much that communicator who is in our world and is talking to us and working with us, rather than being off in the kind of the spooky nighttime. So thank you very much there, Catherine. That's great. Well, that looks like that's all of the questions we've got. We're rapidly heading towards the end of our time. Thank you so much for spending the last 50 minutes with me, and thank you so much for such wonderful questions. I've really loved answering them. It's been brilliant. You'll notice that neither of the boys turned up. With the open door and the open invitation, neither of them came in. You can guarantee if that door was locked, they'd both be outside scratching it and meowing piteously. So if I can just put in another word for The Magic of Cats, with its wonderful illustration by Hannah Willow on the front cover, and the wonderful illustrations inside, including the ones that you haven't seen. This will be available on the 28th of April next year, 2023. And I really hope you enjoy it when you get it. Have a lovely rest of day. Thank you very much to Moon Books for giving me this opportunity. Have a lovely Sunday and a great rest of week. Thank you so much.